Hey, everybody. Thanks for downloading this episode of the Black and Gold podcast, brought to you each and every week by Boonshine Brewing Company. And this week, we want you to meet Crumble. We've got a delicious new beer for you all. Crumble is a strawberry shortcake wheat ale that's sweet, creamy, and just the right amount of tart. Brewed with strawberries, lactose, Madagascar vanilla. Wow. And a few bags of a certain sour than sweet candy as a nod to this ale's forebear. Crumble is a decadent treat in a glass. Think strawberry cream cheese danishes, ooh, and a fresh churned strawberry ice cream with a touch of tartness to keep things perfectly balanced. Come give Crumble a try. It's a real dessert in a glass. That sounds really good. Big C, how do we feel about Crumble beer?
That sounds delicious. I haven't had it, but let me tell you something. That's when you get the description laid out there,
Yeah,
it had to be inspired a little bit from the strawberry cream cheese danishes you can get from Stick Boy. And I actually had one of those like a couple weeks ago, and I was like, man, that's delicious. And I didn't even put it together until you mentioned it, that there might be a connection there. So fingers crossed there's still some around in the coming days, and I can give you all a review next week. How's that sound?
Oh man, that does sound good. Yeah, do that. Let us know. And yeah, because now my mouth's watering. Now I kind of want some Crumble. You know what I'm saying? I want the strawberry. What is it? Strawberry Danish? Yeah, that's what I want.
Strawberry cream cheese Danish? Is that what I heard?
That's what that's what you heard. That's what it is. Yeah, that's what I want. And so yeah, we thank Boonshine for sponsoring the show. I'm your host, Alex Johnson. With me as always, world's most famous App State fan. You know him, you love him. He is Big C. And here we are again. Last week, we were like, hey, the season's back. And then last week hit us both like a freight train. Couldn't record. And now we're here on a Tuesday night, kind of like old times. And we're going to bring you an episode. We actually have a little bit of a mail satchel. We have a 333 Club version of the mail satchel. Just a few questions just to get some things going. And Blue Deer's back on board, which is great. We do have some sports that I believe has kicked off already. I think ladies soccer's already kicked off. And played a couple games, I believe. Right, Charles?
Yeah. They played Wilmington in the past. I don't know when it was. It was last week. Let's say that. And they lost that game 3-0, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And that was at home. And when I say the past, it was within the past week or the last time we recorded, so last Thursday. And then Sunday afternoon in Bowie's Creek, they defeated Campbell 3-1. All the action coming in the second half, all 4 goals. And we might have a new soccer star. We'll see where it goes. Sophomore forward Libby Birmingham, but not spelled like the city we went to for our last football game. But looks like it sounds the same.
Okay, very good.
AJ, she got a brace. Do you know what a brace is in soccer? It's credited with a brace.
What is that? 3 goals?
Oh, God.
What is it?
I'm giving everybody some time to laugh. On the internet.
What is it?
In their cars, hopefully not running stop signs.
No, don't do that.
3 goals is a hat trick.
Okay. What's a brace?
That can happen. A brace is 2 goals.
Oh, okay. I'm not that far off. What's it? Yeah. Well, I know they scored. They had 3 goals. They 3-1. So I figured, I don't know, maybe she scored all 3. I know what a hat trick is. I've only heard it in hockey though.
Well, what you just said, a brace was 3 goals.
Yeah, I guessed. I didn't know what it was.
You said clearly.
You know what a brace
clearly
was?
Guessed.
I wasn't that far off. 2's still really good though. I mean, that's not many people are scoring 2 in a game, right?
That's good. No, what she did was good, but your guess way out of bounds.
Way out. Oh,
I might even give you a yellow card on that one.
I only get one more, and then I'm kicked out. I'm kicked out.
And we got a lot of soccer left.
Oh my gosh.
We're going to be playing a man down for the rest of the fall sports season. That might be tough.
That's going to be tough. That is going to be tough.
I'll call up the president and see if we can get our soccer player back or our podcast guy back on the pitch.
Call FIFA. I mean? Yeah, call FIFA. See what they get your lawyers to call their lawyers. Yeah, that'll be good.
Goodness.
So yeah, our Olympic sports coverage brought to you again this fall and really this season 12 of the Black and Gold podcast by Styles Roofing. For those of you in the greater Charlotte area, you need some roof repair or replacement, 704-842-1874 is the number you need to call or text. Appalachian alumnus Billy Styles. They're not going to get paid until the job's done and you are satisfied. They are the best in the business. And Community One Insurance, for those of you in North and South Carolina, for all of your insurance needs, give them a call, whether you're covering a boat, home, auto, commercial insurance, it does not matter. They're brokers, so they're working on your behalf to get you the best price, and they're going to give you superior service. Check out their website, communityoneinsurance.com, and to call or text Matthew Johnson, 828-455-2335, and tell them the podcast sent you. And then with all the money you're saving on your insurance, you can get some new Appalachian gear, I guess, for the season. Or you can go get some of the Crumble beer, I guess, at Boonshine before our games. I guess that's one way you can spend your money. Volleyball's getting ready to start. It's not quite up yet. Not this upcoming Friday, but the following Friday, they kick off in Charlotte. So volleyball hasn't kicked off. But yeah, here we are, fall sports season. Camp has wrapped up for football. Basketball, they've announced. We've already covered this, but basketball's announced that they're doing that 6 a.m. tip. Have you decided whether you're going to go to the 6 a.m. game in Rock Hill on November 2nd?
I really want to.
I'm doing it. I've already told the kids we're doing it.
That's awesome.
They still have to go to school.
They're going to be great. Like, I mean, yeah, but it's a field trip. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a field trip.
Yeah, it's field
trip.
It's
just a couple hours late, and what are they? Fourth grade? Whatever.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah.
Although this is a big year. Fourth year is a big year.
It is a big year. Yeah, I got to say, your second grade daughter's first day of school picture was the most enthusiastic I think that I've seen so far. All the first days, she looked the most excited to get started again.
Man,
I was very happy that she was happy.
You know how the transition can be, right?
Oh yeah,
like, it's like you've been going all summer. If summer's kind of feeling a little long, and you're like, man, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know how it's going to go, and there's some days where they're like, I'm not getting out of the car. I'm like, yeah, you are. I have to take you to school, and I'm here, and I need you out. But these first 2 days, it's like hop right out, ran in,
really
no fits. Like, all right. Now, see, AJ, now I don't know, like in Watauga County, the elementary schools have started 5 minutes earlier in the morning for the last bell. Yeah. And to all those parents of Watauga County kids out there, 5 minutes is a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
It is a huge deal. You're like, man, I was so used to 7:50 or whatever, and now it's 7:45, and it doesn't feel like a big thing. But for several years, you're like, I know exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Yep.
In this 1.5 mile stretch between my house and the elementary school, with all those lights. And today was a little rough. Monday, perfect.
Really?
Today,
okay.
Not sure what happened, but I was like sweating it.
Really?
Like, oh God, can't have them be tardy. But
is that big? What do you think the big change was?
Why we did that? Why the school?
No, I mean, why was there such a big difference? No, why was there such a big difference between today and Monday?
It's just like, hey, you've got a target time of we need to be walking downstairs. We need to be in the car. We need to be pulling out.
Yeah.
For whatever reason,
Yeah.
It got late early.
I hear you.
So,
yeah, no, that's
thank you.
Yeah,
she was thrilled for second grade.
It's very apparent, very obvious. Yeah, mine weren't as enthusiastic, but it's been good. We went back last Wednesday and ready to get things kicked off. You'd rather go back to school in the middle of it being super hot. You don't want to be outside when it's super hot. You'd rather be in the we get out in the middle of May. You'd rather have half of May than half of August. May feels better. So anyway, we're back in the swing of things. So so one of the things, there was I don't remember what account it was. No, it was July. Okay, so now it's all coming back to me why I did this. So July 1st of this year marked the 12th year that Appalachian State has been in the Sun Belt. And in my Appalachian fandom, of course, I got to school in 2007, almost 20 years. We've now been at FBS program, longer than I certainly was used to us being a FCS program from my freshman year. And a lot of things have happened. It's been pretty cool to reminisce, actually, and just seeing that, 12 years in the Sun Belt. That's kind of wild. And such a serious and such a big deal, Charles. And actually, just reflecting back on that, I don't really remember your stance one way or the other. I know I've been reading, Big C posts for, almost 20 years, which is kind of weird to say. But at the time we had transitioned over from FCS to FBS, like, where did you sit on, like, when all the rumors were floating around, and I guess in 2009 or 10 when Charlotte got invited by Conference USA, like, where were you on the topic of Appalachian in FBS?
Oh, I was definitely for it 100%. And I think if I remember correctly, the whole point was to kind of try to get linked up with ECU and get to Conference USA. And then that didn't work out. And Conference USA expanded, and they added like 5 schools that had like a combined like 23 years of football history. And that, I think at that time and probably times before that, but that's when the whole markets with a Z, like, it was a big message board talk of it. It was never about tradition. It's never about culture. It was about, can you bring more eyeballs to teams watching you on TV?
It was like, did you live around eyeballs was really what it was.
Right. Did you live around them? Right. What was the potential that a UNC Charlotte, Middle Tennessee State, ODU, FIU that do for you? I think there was the 5 that went at that time.
Western Kentucky left Sunbelt to go to CUSA.
Yeah. And that was one that didn't really make sense, but whatever it was, I was like, that's a slap in the face. So, and usually these administrators won't tell you what actually happened, out loud, unless you know them really well. But essentially, like, we didn't have the movement that the other schools provided, right? Which was potential and the expansion of television markets and the many different ways that you can view football, field hockey, soccer, volleyball, and all that good stuff, a wrestling match. And that was the big thing. It was like, all right, we're going to get our shot, but it might not be what we want. But like, I just remember, like, yeah, let's get with ECU. I think ECU's AD was Terry Holland at that time, and he was very adamant about, or was outspoken, let me say that, about, it would be nice to get in the conference with App State. And then here we are still 15 years later, and we've created this football series. We played them a couple times more in basketball than we did prior to 2010, with regularity. And there's rumors of another, game that may happen next year because of openings and whatnot, with ECU and football. And we still kind of are like aiming for that, right? But wouldn't it be interesting? Because I think there's a higher likelihood if when things unfold again, which they will here shortly before we even know it, that there's a chance that it would be ECU coming to the conference that App State's in versus the other way around, which would have been unheard of, 10, 15, 16, 17 years ago. So, but yeah, I was totally for FBS. It had nothing to do with the championships. I was for FBS, when I was in school. because you just didn't get coverage, and people didn't talk about you. And I'm glad we're here, clearly, and I think we're really aligned with some schools that make sense with us geographically. Wow, geographically, whatever. Goodness, that was
you need
rough.
to go back to 4th grade.
Goodness gracious. Yeah, where are the sandhills exactly? What is the fall line?
So I don't know. This is a little off topic, I guess. I don't think there's going to be another. I think the next conference shift among like Appalachian or East Carolina, I think it will be like to do something else. Like I don't think I don't think Apple will go to the American or ECU will go to the Sun Belt. I think it'll be a big enough shift, like with the ACC, like the rumor is, right, there's a bunch of rumors, Clemson will go to the SEC, and what does the ACC do? I mean, anyway, I think whatever shakes out at the end, I think there's a new conference formed, because I mean the Sun Belt with 14 teams, I mean, we've talked about it a lot. I mean, the divisions, to me, like, it doesn't matter that we're linked up to like, who cares? Like, there's a West of it. Okay, so what? We play 2 of them every year. Like, it doesn't matter.
Right. A handful of basketball, not always at home.
Right.
You miss a few of them in baseball as well, if we're talking about, in sports. And it's almost like, hey, we're in a handshake agreement with some schools we don't play all the time.
Right. And so what does it matter?
It's like another conference over there, really.
Right.
And there's a couple of them we have history with, like, for the last 12 years.
Yeah, like you could say we've had some good games against Troy, because we have. Louisiana, we've had some good games against them. But, like, so what? I mean, the Sun Belt West just is irrelevant. And that isn't really, I mean, I'm not trying to fire shots at the West Division as a whole, but, like, what do they have? I mean, what does the East do for them? I mean, they've got, Southern Miss, Troy, South Alabama, and Louisiana. They're all kind of bunched up there. I mean, they have a good thing going. So I think the next thing, the next shakeout, will be peer schools like Appalachian and East Carolina and James Madison. I think, and I also think this. I think when and you did a really good job, like, recapping kind of the time of the transition for the fan and stuff before the move. But it was really important back then that we moved with Georgia Southern, at the time, to kind of make the leap. And Charlie Cobb, like, disparaged the Sun Belt. I remember that as a student. Like, he's like, well, I think we're better than the Sun Belt. I was like, I don't know if I'd say that out loud. But I think Georgia Southern and Appalachian were kind of the last teams to kind of, like, I think that was kind of the domino effect. And that's when North Dakota State won like 6 in a row or whatever they did. And that was like the straw that broke the camel's back, where the FCS had just become so diluted that it's just, it wasn't the same. But now I feel like this is my opinion, I think James Madison is the new Georgia Southern, from a standpoint of kind of like us moving in tandem. I just feel like that's kind of it. Like, I don't think Georgia Southern, if they go or we go, I don't think they're connected. I think a James Madison kind of package is something that would be more realistic. I don't know. The gut feeling I have. I don't know. I might be wrong.
As in, like, a new conference?
Yeah, or us kind of trying. I don't know. That's a great question. Trying to reimagine, like, hey, we kind of have this East Division, like, going. So we'll try to bring on, like, organizations like East Carolina. But I mean, East Carolina right now, frankly, and let's just be honest here. And I'm all about being honest here. The year of irresponsibility. We're still in that year, by the way. The American is a better led conference. They have better leadership. And they have imposed NIL minimums for their like, they are forcing every member school to spend a certain amount on NIL for their programs. The Sun Belt doesn't have that. And I think they're just taking things from a systematic level. I think they're taking it more seriously. So I think from an organization standpoint, leadership standpoint, I think the American's actually better than the Sun Belt right now. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know. It's a great question. I haven't really baked that out. Is it a new conference? Is it trying to convince others to like form something new? I don't know.
What if there was like as we get, there's a lot of talk about super conferences and even larger conferences than what you see in the P2 and 4, if you want to include them.
Yeah.
What if instead of a Sun Belt 14, there was a Sun Belt 18, and then you had a West, a Central, and an East?
Mm.
And like, depending on who you could or would add, that you would basically have, because I think what this is what these last couple moves have done. I mean, there's several for several years it was all about, hey, App State's is the outlier. They're further north and further north, not further east, but essentially further north than anyone else. And so we added some schools that create a perimeter around us. Essentially, that's basically what it formed. And now you've kind of gone a little bit back west again, and you've got Louisiana Tech, who's a new member, and Southern Miss, and I just wonder like what that looks like, because there's a lot of Monroe talk, right?
Yeah.
And people are like, we got to find a way to make. Well, people weren't, but Monroe fans were like, we need to find a way to make this work. And the way they made it work was like adding a school that's, what is it, 81 miles? I don't even know.
Yeah.
A bus ride, down the street to create a very short situation, a short drive, a lot less travel on that end, over there, right? Certainly Southern Miss gets you in the state of Mississippi, and you have your typical, they have a old rivalry with Louisiana Tech, and then there's South Alabama and Troy, and they're kind of in that area, and like there's a real like northwest to southeast kind of divide between the two divisions right now. And I just wonder, what something would look like. I've talked years ago about, like, I hate prognosticating about like what teams, schools you could add to make this kind of conference and do this and that and the other. But I mean, if there was somehow a way to convince, like if you need 4 schools, I mean, you got to figure that ECU and like UAB would be in that conversation. And then what are the Florida Internationals and Atlantics look like? And are they somebody that want to do something like that? And there's others in between. Do you actually get into Ohio, or does the Western Kentucky and Middle Tennessee State ever become a thing? So there's a lot of different schools that couldn't or might not make sense, or could make sense. Who knows? But I think there'd be a lot that would be interested. I just think that's something that to be on the lookout for, instead of, because if we're talking about it, that those conversations have been had in the conference offices of things of like, man, what's going to happen if these schools over here are like, we've kind of had enough of going to Louisiana. Now that we got to do it like a lot, like in Arkansas State and Monroe and Louisiana Tech and Louisiana. Let's just like kill that and add someone more in the, more centrally located to a lot of these schools over here that is in the Mid-Atlantic or the lower Midwest or whatever you want to call it. The Ohio Valley area, and see what that looks like. So, I mean, it's going to come down the pipe at some point. Like there will be talks.
Yeah. I think one thing that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about that I think is inevitable as well is, and I think this would be the ideal situation. There's some ruling that gives the NCAA some sort of permission to treat football, and you can say men's basketball, but let's just make things simple and say football. You're able to almost treat that like in an entity to itself, so that basically you kind of can call off the dogs to a certain extent with the other things. But finally, like in some official capacity, make schools start like acknowledging that it really is about football, like operationally. Like I know, and Doug Gillen does a really good job, by the way, of doing like getting the golf team a new bus, or and championing the indoor tennis facility. I really do believe genuinely that Doug loves all those sports. I really do. But the only sport of consequence at Appalachian State is football. But that's not unique to Appalachian. It's just when you play at the FBS level, your football team matters more than any other team. And I think that there could be down the pipe like something to allow some sanity back into the building where these other Olympic sports have permission or encouraged to or forced to or whatever, like restructure their conference affiliation. Wrestling is in the Southern Conference. They haven't missed a beat. I mean, who cares that there's not a Sun Belt wrestling, championship on our trophy, whatever. They're in the SoCon. That's where they belong. So I think that could be something too. And we really do belong football wise. We absolutely belong on a level from competitiveness and support and whatever. We absolutely belong alongside like in East Carolina for sure, and where Georgia State doesn't even sniff close to that. Right. So maybe that could be something too. I don't know.
I just hope that schools don't come to realization that like they can support one or the other, like football or basketball, and that you're going to have conferences for football and conferences for maybe basketball, and then conferences for Olympic sports, which I think just absolutely kills any type of rivalry situation you had with anybody.
Does it though?
Yeah, no, it would. It absolutely would, unless you're in a conference with all these major sports or with a few of the same teams, but not all of the same teams.
Would you say though that, I mean, let's just use wrestling as an example, like, or the rivalry we have with Campbell, and that's real. Chattanooga, that's real. I mean, we're not really hurt, right, by not having wrestling in the same conference as our football team, right?
But is that bringing people out of the woodwork to attend a match?
I think having Chattanooga and Campbell is a bigger draw than it would be if it was Troy or, ODU.
You've got to realize though, it's those schools don't have wrestling.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, okay. I mean, right. I actually hadn't. Yeah,
so,
but I mean, even if they did though, but I mean, like UNC Greensboro, Western Carolina, Davidson's maybe a little bit of a different animal. Furman, UNC Greensboro, Western Carolina. If we play basketball with them in a conference setting, would that be really that bad?
Well, how do the student athletes look at this? Right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like they don't get to sit there and say like, we have camaraderie with, this group of athletes, say the football team. If softball's biggest rival turns into being, I don't know, Elon, but like football's and basketball's not playing Elon, are student athletes going to that game and like supporting them? Like, I mean,
are they going now?
Probably so. Yeah, they are. I mean, like you can see in the stands on Instagram, like there's a lot of student athletes. Baseball team is like at soccer matches,
as they should be.
Yeah. Team. Yeah, as they should be, and that's a good thing. But like, does that wear off? Like, hey, we don't get to play Georgia Southern, one team may say, or we don't get to play James Madison, another might, and oh no, our rivals are Davidson and I think like for one sport, like for wrestling, I think that's okay, for field hockey, but like if you're like talking about like a baseball league, and let's say Southern Miss, Louisiana belong on a different planet in the Sun Belt than say and include Coastal Carolina than like us and uh, Georgia State or South Alabama or something like that, or James Madison. It's like it just feels weird to me. Is what I'm trying to say. And I don't know how to explain
It's
it, but
definitely new. Yeah. It's a
and I'm
new concept or whatever.
yeah, certainly. And of course, after 15 years, we'll be fine with it, right? If that's the way it goes.
Yeah,
But we certainly have some consternation just thinking about it right now.
Yeah. I think the main question would be to ask like coaches and admin, like, hey, would this be easier for, this new structure or whatever? It'd be interesting to hear what I know. I've heard some coaches kind of talk along this lines, and I think I don't know. It could be a mixed bag depending on who you talk to, but I think it could be it.
And like if you're going to be like an assistant athletic director that helps like schedule things, imagine like, hey, we know where the place to go is in, when we visit James Madison, like these are the spots we can stay at. But like if you've got all of a sudden like say, well, we can go on road games to a primary 5 or 6 schools, right? Throw a couple in here and there that are in our conference, and we know we have a little familiarity with them. But like if all of a sudden you're in like a conference with say football, basketball, baseball, and there's only like 3 schools that are carryovers, think about all those different away games you've got to figure out, like, man, what's good in Richmond, Kentucky? What's good in Murfreesboro? Remember where we stayed for the bowl game that one time when we went to Birmingham, and on and on and on. It's a lot more to the logistics end. I mean, you get adjusted to it, sure, but
yeah, it would. I think the underlying truth, what we're talking about, is like change is coming. Like it's not going to stay this way forever, and something's going to change. Whether it changes in a way where all like the majority of sports stay together or not, I don't think it will. Personally, that's my prediction. I'm not saying that I would orchestrate it exactly that way, but I think there's going to be another shift, and there'll be more commercial. And I hear what you're saying, like where football is, we all acknowledge it. It's the economic engine, but I don't want basketball to be completely, neglected either. But like I think Penn State's athletics director said something like, do we really care about basketball? He didn't say that directly, but he said, are we really getting our money's worth on basketball spending right now? It's like, man, that sucks. Like it sucks to hear an AD talk like that.
Yeah, and so what's he supposed to do? Just keep shoveling more money into it and hope it works?
Yeah, I don't know. It's so much of this. It feels like we've lost the whole like competitive part. Like, yeah, maybe this isn't the best, but I want to still win Penn State basketball. I don't know. I mean, I don't care about Penn State basketball, but anyway. So that being said, I have in my mind, when I think of the 12 years of the Sun Belt, I have particular moments, not just games. We can point out games, but like moments that have stood out to me since we first started our first season in 2014 when we kicked off. I don't even remember who was our first. Oh, it was Michigan, wasn't it? At Michigan was our first football game in the Sun and as a FPS program. So, Charles, I know I've pre-made a list here, but I have some moments over the last 12 years that stand out to me the most. And you can feel free to critique or add or whatever, but there's things that stand out to me. And I think I'll start with one that's pretty easy. And I think kind of a hallmark. I guess you could say this is maybe the pinnacle of our FBS like existence and experience. I think one moment that represents really well this era is Meach and the strip sack touchdown against Carolina 2019. Like how many times have you personally seen that clip?
Countless. I think everyone is in the same boat with that. Certainly a big moment.
I think that one didn't either. He had an interception. And that was just, it felt like, we didn't know it at the time. I mean, we were on the road at the ACC. Carolina they'd avoided us for forever. And we were just, we were whipping them. And it was a close game or whatever, but that we were just going blow for blow, man. I mean, that was really, and that's 5 years into the FBS. I mean, that's pretty incredible. Is there one in particular, like when you think back to this era, last 12 years, is there one moment or several or whatever that stands out to you one way or the other?
It is particularly in like football or
anything. It could be literally anything. Just App State sports.
I think it's a big deal that we, basketball won its first conference championship in 40 years, outright, and separately, like in addition to that, also return to the tournament, the basketball NCAA basketball tournament, even if it was as a play-in. I think those are pretty momentous occasions that have not happened enough, in our fandom.
Mm-hmm. I think when it comes to that particular, like when you look at the 2021 championship game against Georgia State, which it was so sweet it came against Georgia State. I think of, because that game wasn't close. When we think back, I mean, we covered it, right? There were 4 games in a row we played against 4 different teams, and Georgia State was actually pretty good. And I think, if I'm remembering this correctly, Charles, maybe you remember, but I'm pretty sure Georgia Southern were they the 1 seed of that tournament? They were the 1 or 2 seed, and I'm pretty sure they got some games off, but we didn't.
No, we had to play 4, and we had to play in, like, the first game was in like a high school gym. Yeah. I can't remember who we played in that game.
Was it Little Rock?
It might have been.
We played Texas State, Coastal, and Little Rock leading up to Georgia State. I just don't remember in what order.
Coastal was the first game in Pensacola, in the like arena, and that was like, wasn't that like overtime? And
I think it was. They had the Egyptian kid who was like 7 feet tall. Yeah, he was huge. I can't remember his name. It was like Mustafa or something.
And then Texas State was like a game we like blew the lead, but somehow pulled it out.
And they always played us tough. Texas State.
It's just they're our nemesis, and we won't have to deal with them anymore. Kearns is probably thrilled. He just picked up another win. He didn't have to.
Yeah.
Why are we over here now? Well, this is, it's February 27th. What are we doing in freaking San Marcos?
And then Little Rock had they had the size, and that was the thing, that we played small against them, but they had a lot of length, and we still beat them. And then of course Georgia State. Now Georgia State went through a stretch; they were really good, but I always think of like that breakaway, because that game wasn't close. We were kind of worried. It's like, hey, we're going to be worn down, and that game really wasn't close. But in the closing seconds, Donovan Gregory slamming the ball and seeing CJ Huntley in the background, jump in the air as Donovan slams it. I mean, that was just such a cool moment, to not have to stress out or whatever. And that was still in COVID, related.
Not stress out. Are you crazy?
What?
What? I was on the edge of my seat that entire game. No one.
Did we not win by like 10 though?
No, I think we won by like 7.
I'm looking.
Because the dunk didn't count.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, okay. I was maybe exaggerating, not stressing out. But the other games were like, we went into overtime. It came down to the wire. The other ones, I didn't think we were gonna win. I thought it was going to be really, really close because of what we had to do. I'm gonna look this up because I'm really convinced at this point that what am I doing? I am not looking in the right spot.
I want to say it was like 78, 71, or maybe like it wasn't in the 80s.
No, I could have sworn we beat them by like 9 points. I'm gonna look this up. Okay, 2021.
Michael Almonacci went off.
Oh, Montessey, yeah. 80-73.
Dang.
80-73.
Almost
Wow,
a
how about
bucket
that?
off, but each way.
Yeah.
I had 7
So it
right.
actually got kind of close here. Let's see here. With a minute left. Okay. All right. I guess I need to take back what I said. With a minute left, it was 61-60. I'm sorry, 71-67. That's pretty tight. Then we pulled away. Yeah. Man, what a great moment. Oh, so cool. Another moment here, I just making sure that we're covering all of our bases here. But I think it's correct. Giving Southern Miss all they could handle in 23 in the baseball tournament was pretty awesome. That's I think that was before the Banks Collier. That was CJ Boyd and Golston Gillespie
Yeah.
and the Xander Hamilton. I mean, we gave them, I think they were ranked like 12th in the country, I think, at that point. Or no, I mean, not 12. Whatever. They were ranked really high. And we beat Troy. We beat Southern Miss, and that team just in the whole like month of May just like lit it on fire. And at that point, we had some really bad years in the Sun Belt, and finally that was like our by far and away our best year. But that to me felt like baseball's arrival finally. Like it took like literally almost a decade, but we kind of made our mark a little bit.
We always seem to, like, more recently, right? Like, bring our good stuff against the good teams.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe this past year we had like that Coastal Series this past year. Like we should have definitely taken 2 or 3 of them, but and we should have taken 2 or 3 of Southern Miss as well. But yeah, that was I think that was their first year back in the conference,
Yes.
or first year in the Sun Belt.
Yes.
We all knew what they were made of. They were going to make Sun Belt baseball better, like better or worse. They were going to make it better, and kind of lift the tides, so to speak. And they have, and it didn't take long, right?
Yeah.
And you know when they're frustrated that when you beat them, right? Because they're like, man, what in the world, like,
Yeah.
like this shouldn't be happening. Why are we playing this team? And it goes to show that the teams who care, like who really care about being good, and in the Sun Belt, Sun Belt baseball, you literally can't take a weekend off. Someone will catch fire at some point throughout the course of a long season, and who your big dogs are, right? And if you can kind of catch the right schedule and win the right games at the right time, like you can annoy some people. Guess what's going to happen next year, AJ? They're going to pick App State baseball to be like 7th or worse in the Sun Belt, and we're going to finish top 6.
Yep.
And they'll never freaking learn.
Yeah. Just scrappy. And that kind of started, right? I mean, that game to me, like, we had a great May. CJ Boyd hit, I think, 1,000 home runs in May. But then we get to the tournament where we just had not played well. And then from that point, I almost feel like it solidified the expectation that, hey, we need to be good next year. And then we're good next year too. And we've been competitive ever since that time. And Coach Smith will tell you, well, yeah, we started fully funding scholarships and we're getting more solidified, and a lot of that played into it. But man, I feel like just that performance in that game to me just was like, all right, we kind of came out of our shell a little bit. Another one that's unsung here is, what, I really enjoyed this because the Fox era, the Capel and Fox era basketball were so bad that in 2018-19, the ladies team were really good that season, 22-14. We covered it obviously on the show, but we actually won the WBI that year. And I remember we took the family, we went and watched the championship game there in early April against North Texas. And the celebration after that was really fun because we up to that point, we had like no happy years, in basketball in certainly in the Sun Belt era. but that was really fun, Charles. I know obviously you were at those games too.
Yeah.
But we won our opening game against UNC Asheville, which was close. But then the next games were just not close. That was a really good team. We played really, really well in that tournament. And I just remember feeling like in the home center, I had kids with us, how I was like, this is how it should be. Like, we should be able to have fun in the home center watching basketball. And that was really the first success we had in basketball in the Sun Belt. And a lot of people don't really realize that it was with women's basketball, not Coach Kern. It was with Angel in that team.
Yeah. Now that was a fun ride, and very similar how when we went through what was it, the CIT and men's basketball with playing all those different schools and anytime that's why I kind of like love those, even though it's not the big tournament. I love those other tournaments that may be here some years and may not be here other years. It seems it gives young players a chance to play together and learn, and grow their game. Your seniors get one more chance to put on the jersey. That really was a culmination of Angel's journey at that point.
Yeah.
And certainly very, very, very cool because it's always weird when it's like spring, and you're like, hey, we're still watching like basketball games in the home center. It's kind of fun, kind of interesting. You're like wearing shorts, you're like, hey man, it's nice outside.
It felt good that day. Yeah, it was. I just checked the date. It was April 3rd.
Yeah, it's late,
but it was fun.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people there. Yeah,
yeah, they made a big deal out of it, and they deserved it, right?
Yeah. Another thing here. So when I'm just and Charles, if you're thinking of one, just throw it out as well. But 2015 was special for both of us because we started the show, we started the Black and Gold podcast, and you and I had through thick and thin, like so many other fans, gone through 2013, which was terrible, half of 2014, and then the back half of 2014 with that 6-game winning streak. 2015 was like almost like reaping what we had sowed, right? I mean, the program had put in work, Coach Satterfield had recruited, and we recruited and coached better than any other program really in the country, pound for pound. I mean, that's just what it showed. And to be rewarded with an 11-2 season was just so much fun. It was such a great year. But it capped off, and here we go, Appalachian people. We're only used to playoff games. And to go down to Montgomery with everybody and experience that first half we were down and the other team's doing the FTC cash thing, and we're here we go. We're letting a MAC team like wear us out. For Zach Maddox to kick that ball, who had a terrible year before. He got replaced by the punter. Bentley Critcher replaced Zach Maddox. He was so bad the year before. But Zach Maddox hitting that ball and reacting before anybody else knew, throwing his helmet off. I mean, look, we've been part of some huge games, some championships, national championships, watching Armani, all this stuff in football. But dude, the feeling of that ball going through the first Camellia ball with Maddox hitting that kick and game over, we win. That was about as much fun as it gets, and how much joy you get. And it's just the Camellia ball, but it felt way bigger. It was a huge game.
Kind of goes to our earlier conversation is like with transitioning and going from FCS to FBS, and like that was the validation.
Yes,
that like this was the right move.
Yes,
like it wasn't just what the Sun Belt was then, like kind of a ragtag bunch of schools. When you have Idaho, New Mexico State, and all those in there, you're like, what's going on? Why are we playing schools from everywhere? And without a lot of like football history, right? Right now we're getting to play, and I think that's what the FBS was really all about. It's like, let's play some teams we haven't been playing for a while. It's easy to sit back and say and beat our chests about, hey, pay attention to us. We win a lot of games, and the criticism would always be, well, everyone should beat Furman and Elon and Wofford and Citadel, right? And so once we started getting in and playing different teams and like non-conference matchups, um, then it's like, all right, this is fun. This is a lot of fun, and playing in those bowl games, those first 6, like, hey, and I think an underrated aspect, like even though we haven't had as many bowl games of late or won them, and not had the success that we did in the first 6, like no one's ever going to match that, right? Like
No.
no one is ever going to. That is a very unique, fun statistic that is all
And we
our
took
own.
it seriously. That's the thing I think I'm also proud of. Like we like as a program, we didn't treat that as just happy fun. Like we tried to win those games. Like put a
And I
W
think,
in there.
and that's what was so much different about those other schools who have been FBS for a long time. It's like, yeah, we've done this. This is what we're doing, and no one wanted to be the first one, and it just happened to be Ohio of all teams, and like we're like not far enough removed from like FCS titles.
Yeah.
And if you remember, Jeremy Markovich, who wrote for our state magazine, did that big blog.
Yes.
He's like, man, they're watching, like, he went to Ohio. He's on an out-of-state bus, and he's like, they're watching the Michigan game like it just happened, or like they don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're not watching Pirates of the Caribbean or Jumanji. We're just watching football games.
Yeah. Jumanji.
Oh, pop in the UMass title game. He's like, man, these people are crazy. They love it. And I think that's which might kind of lead into our mail satchel a little bit. I think I kind of reviewed that. It's one question that was in there. It was like, we were starving then to continue to just taste that same champagne at the end of every year. And man, it was a ridiculously fun ride for a decade and a half, really, if you want to think about it, like almost 15 years of just like, chances are we're going to go show up and we're going to go win, and we're going to have a good time doing it.
To be able to say we experienced that, and I don't mean to be dramatic, but it's really a blessing to be able to say that as an Appalachian fan, you lived through that stretch, to just know you're probably going to win. You weren't always going to, but you probably were. And yeah, man, that's a bummer. We'll get into the mail satchel here. Let me just throw out some honorable mentions here of things that I jotted down, just thinking about our time in the Sun Belt as we go into year 12. I know it's not a happy moment necessarily, but dude, when Keenan Gilchrist made that tackle at the goal line at Tennessee, and everybody kind of went, ooh, and then we thought we made the stop. I mean, I know it's kind of heartbreaking, but that was such a huge game. We did not trail once in regulation, lost in overtime. But for that team to lose on almost like a fluke, it wasn't because of lack of execution, but that moment, John Milner was a 2-time All-American as a wrestler for Appalachian State. It was huge in this era, although it's with the Southern Conference still in that era. I'll never forget Xander Hamilton's 15 strikeout game against a really good Coastal team in 23 was huge. But when I think back to this era, obviously there are some bowl games that are huge that we just covered. I do think that just the Meach Taylor's strip sack touchdown just kind of represents so much of that era in football. But I think we recently saw like a huge, almost like maybe top 3 moment with Savannah Dada Maskell and that comeback win to make the final 8 in women's tennis. That just was such an enormous accomplishment. And dude, Miles Tate hitting that 3-point shot with 33 seconds left in the game against Auburn, I will I could see that now in my mind. I know it happened right in front of you, but I could see that right now in my brain. I will never forget Miles Tate, where he was and just how happy I was when he hit that shot. So anyway, I just want to throw a couple of those out before we move
There's
on.
certainly been, a ton of moments and plenty more that we don't even have time to mention today. But yeah, those were all big ones, AJ.
Yeah. So we do have the hashtag BGP Mail Satchel making its return, thanks to Blue Deer, downtown Boone, downtown Blowing Rock. in West Jefferson. Check them out. It's the best place to get a cup of coffee, a nice milkshake with that lemon crunch zest milkshake. It's pretty awesome. And grab some cookies and ice cream sandwiches. You won't regret it. And whoever in the and for those that don't know what I'm getting ready to say, that are new to the show, I guess, we have a Facebook group for those that support us on Patreon, and these are for our listeners or our supporters in there who basically tell us what they want us to talk about by submitting something to the hashtag BGP Mail Satchel. So Charles, I don't know if you're already there or reading it, or you're not.
I had it up earlier. I'm sure my thumb's gonna work pretty fast, or maybe not.
Yeah, no, yeah, go. You want to do it or me?
It doesn't matter. Do you have it up?
No, I don't.
All right, I'll try to get there.
Whoever gets there first wins.
Okay. Well, I'm not winning, but I got it up.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So, oh man, we must. No, I think. Okay, Adrian DeKaiser. Sorry there for the stumbling. What is the over/under on the number of these apple lights consumed at the first tailgate? Obviously, this is he adds a picture of the Anheuser-Busch Blue Box product with the app colored cans.
Looks pretty cool. They have the sleeve stripes on there too.
Oh my god, that's the last thing I thought about was sleeve stripes when I saw that. Official sponsor is what it says on the box. Yeah, I guess it just depends on who you are, right? What is your thoughts on that, AJ?
Isn't he supposed to give us a number though? I'm not drinking Bud Light. I hate to let everybody down, but I'm not doing it. It has nothing to do with, moonshine.
Oh, I think it has everything to do with it. Personally,
no, I don't know. I'm the wrong tailgate to be questioning that. For an average tailgate, I don't know why you wouldn't have a case of this. And if it's a big group, why not? I mean, I don't know. I mean, you're the tailgate guy. I don't even know why I'm even.
Those are the ones you buy that you just have extra, and you're like, whoever comes by, you're like, yeah, I got one for you. All these you want.
You're a Bud Heavy guy. Are you gonna indulge in?
There was a time. Yeah. I know people will have them just because of the can, right? I know people will have them. But
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
I think there's a story to this. I think there's a story to this that we don't know all the details on, and
okay.
I'm very curious to see what is available inside against Maine versus what's just available at your local grocer.
Okay.
I can't wait to hear. I know someone will fill us in, and then we can drop some hints later. But
okay.
So Jay Neal mentions the was it the David Hale ESPN piece?
Yeah.
About like kind of our standing. Maybe there's a new formula, this is quote unquote, that can help reinvigorate a program that had long been the standard for small school football, but it won't be the same and it probably won't be sustainable. Can App State win the same way we all remember it winning? Hard-nosed, blue-collar football. Is any formula for success for small school football sustainable? Any formula for any school. And then Jay Neal picks on us and says, I just want to hear y'all pronounce prognostication.
You already said prognosticate earlier in this episode without this prompt.
It was a little bit of a teaser.
How about that? Oh, you're so slick. You shouldn't have mentioned that. That would have been pretty cool. The same
we've
way,
talked
man.
about this. I mean, we like and let us remind people that we got absolutely trashed for talking about this is what happened, and we talked about how it's happening.
Yeah.
And that ain't the reason why that's happening. Guess what it is? And people are also noticing.
Yeah.
So, maybe we were right for once.
Yeah.
Haters, to be honest. Like
Haters.
that
Haters.
kind of drove me crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
Over time it takes, so my take on this is you have to have such a deliberate like execution to keep things on the track, whether it's personnel or just systems or whatever. I mean, and it really, and there's some things that you can't keep the same because everything around you is changing. And I think that's the thing that is hurting us the most, of course. But like Scott Satterfield's a great example. He, in just the way he wanted his program run and the hires that he made and the way the system of college football was at the time he was here, just put us on such a great track, right? But he left. And so then this new variable flips up. Like you got to say, okay, well, man, this next hire, but we want to keep it on the tracks. Well, with no transfer rules and whatever, the next guy came in, happened to be a pretty good ball coach himself, and Coach Drake kept it on the tracks. And then more variables change. Then there's unlimited transfers. Now there's NIL. Now there's COVID and another new coaching hire. And then that new coach, Coach Clark, comes in. Those first staffs obviously weren't super effective. And then so you get more change, industry changing. Are we doing the best job keeping up with how to do this? Because other schools are doing better than us, and like what could we be doing better? So there's so many parts along the way that change, that every time something changes, there's a chance that what you replace it with or whatever isn't as good. And that is just true across everything. And we're just in a place where the tie or the connection from the championship era and what all that success we've been talking about so far, it's been severed. It has to be dreamed up again. And we've talked about that before. Like you can't rely on, I love Thomas Hennigan, but like you can't rely on Thomas Hennigan. Like, oh yeah, this is the hard nosed, gritty. This is where Thomas Hennigan, like Thomas Hennigan, as great as he was, or I don't mean just to pick on him, but like, yeah, but so what? Like he's not coming through that door. It has to be new. It has to be a new leadership, and a new culture has to be built. And you can kind of harken back to the specialness of the place and the history for sure, but it has to be human beings in the building, living it every day. And that's going to be really, really hard when you can't predict who's going to stay around. So I don't want to be negative.
No, but
dude, it's like, no, it'll never be this way. It'll never be that way again. It just won't. And we need to almost have to have new standards, new expectations, and find a way to be joyful with that new system.
it's just such a crazy swing. You would love to have some. We could list 30 players right now and say, man, we'd love to have them for 10 years, right?
Yeah.
That's not how this works.
Mm-hmm.
But to think that, if we had them for 4 or 5, man, that's a lot different than 1 or 2 anymore. And I don't think you're getting a lot of, I think like to find a junior or a third year player is kind of wild. And to have a third year player who contributes is kind of wild. So that was the easy portion, and then now people are coming in hot, real fast. And some of these won't require comment. David Phillips asked, "How is the 2 deep looking?"
Okay. Hey, I got to say something. Credit where credit is due. There are numbers on the roster sheet now, so when you look at the roster, you can actually see people's numbers. And I like that. I like finally you can affiliate these names with a number. That's something. I'm a fan.
There we go. That's a step in a direction.
In a direction. We've stepped in a direction. There you go. All right.
It's August 18th, and here we are. Not to say this hasn't been asked to me, or others have asked the same in other conversations. James Burchett.
Okay.
What's the number of wins that will keep D'Lo employed?
Oh wow. So It's well documented that on the show we hate employment questions because it's distracting and
Yes.
whatever. So I hate these kind of questions, but in an ever increasing corporate kind of like, what have you done with me lately? Which is you talk about a step in a direction. That's the step in the direction that was taken that even got us to where we are now with Coach D'Lo. I think if we win 5 games, he's back. I think 4, depending on how the season goes, I think it's a little dangerous for him. Man, I think if it's 3, I think and I'm going by like in terms of like absolute and like definite kind of, man, if we go 3-9, I think that's, I mean, you could say 4-8 too. Like 4-8's a pretty, that is a step in the wrong direction. I think 5, depending on how the season goes, I think 5 is safe territory. 4, I mean, what do you think?
Oh boy.
I mean, I'm weighing everything. I'm being economical. Like,
Okay.
you got the buyouts and everything else. I mean, what do you do?
Well, honestly, the buyouts don't matter. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
with
well,
ourselves here.
you have to factor in
if the last buyout didn't matter, this one doesn't either at this point. After December 1st.
It's a good point.
In my opinion.
Okay, it's
anyway,
a good point.
So we're gonna say over under, and so that means we have to set something that's like a 0.5. Wins that will keep him employed. So I think that number has to be 6.5. Because in my heart, I don't know if another, like, I think 7-5, you're like, you feel good.
Yeah,
like,
7-5, you feel good. Yep, I agree.
I don't think you can say that about 6-6.
You think he's fired at 6-6?
No, I said that may not keep him employed. I don't think he's fired. I think that's the line. So, like I've always said, how does it unfold, right? And we saw how last year unfolded, right? Because it looked okay, outside of when you look at the first half of the season and then the 2 losses that are lopsided, bad looking. And then you realize who you beat, and you realize you didn't really beat anybody.
Yeah. I think it's going to be, I think there's so many industries, not just sports related, but, whatever out there in commerce that have kind of trailing impacts. Like a thing happens in year 1 that kind of reverberate and impact, down the line. And I think that we felt in 2021 when we had just so many old players on the team. Corey Sutton was, I think, like 38 years old. Thomas Hennigan, Jalen Virgil, there were Malik Williams. There's so many COVID bonus year players. It's so top heavy that year. And we talked about it like this might hurt us for a while, and I think it did. Like, we had a really good 2021. That's a 10-win team. That was a really good team. But I felt like, man, how much is this going to impact us down the road? I think it did a little bit. And I think right now we are staring at a season where we've won 5 games in the last 2 years. And there's nobody on that campus that has experienced that as a student, certainly. I've never experienced it as a fan. I've never experienced that stretch in football. If we go another year and win 5 games, how's that going to impact like sales? People coming to games. I mean, they're doing these promotions, basically trying to get people to go to the main game. They had breakfast.
And that's been a little bit of a trend for the last 3 or 4 years. Is that like that FCS game is like the one that they have a hard time getting that one sold out.
That is true. And so I don't really recall the promotions that they ran, but like they're doing a breakfast thing with Coach Loggins. They're like, hey, if you come to this breakfast, then hey, we'll give you tickets to the game, and so maybe they were giving it away like that in years past, but I kind of worry about how fragile is the interest that because hardcore fans are going to go to games no matter what, but then it kind of branches out into people going like, I spent a lot of my spare time on this and we're terrible and I live in Charlotte or Raleigh or whatever. Am I going to keep coming back up here for this? And how much of that kind of withers away after a third unsuccessful year?
I know that's
and I don't know the answer to that question. So is it 5? Like if we go 5-7 again and we get invited to another bowl game, how eager is Doug Gillen going to be to like get out there and rattle the sabers again and say, hey, we got a chance to play anyone, anytime. And how many people are going to go, okay, maybe not. I mean, what's going to happen?
That it's tough. It really is, and it's not comfortable conversations we want to have or to think about. But there's a lot of variables, right? Like, I mean, if we have an injury situation like we did last year, like are we blaming? Is that
that's a good point.
Is that like, hey, well, you know what? How are we winning games? How are we losing games? Are we winning them the same way as we did last year? Are we losing them the same way as we did last year? How does it unfold? And I've always, that's why we've always hated these questions because, if you go look back at 2014, we started 1-5, we finished 7-5, and but that laid the foundation for 2015, right? Are we building towards something? Right? Yeah. Through these 12 or maybe 13 games. Are we getting somewhere?
Yeah.
And I think that's what you really got to look back at and say, in your case, in your example, if I don't think there is any room for winning only 3 or 4 games.
I don't either.
I don't think there is. I think 5 is very, very dangerous.
So you said it in this time last year. You said, we win 6 games. How did we win them? Because the momentum matters, and that's kind of a theme we had last year. And in my opinion, I don't think it could have gone worse last year. I really don't. Like we went 5-7, and you could say, would there be a way to be excited about a 5-7 game at the end team at the end of the season? I would say, yeah, probably. Like you had a really rough start, someone got hurt, and then you find a way to win maybe 3 of your last 4, and you looked pretty good. That was the opposite of last year. We looked bad from beginning. I'm sorry, August we looked good. We just looked bad the rest of the year, and it's like, man, like that it just did not look good. Didn't finish strong at all. So we do need to watch. I think 4 is like a full stop. Like can't do 4. 5 is a toss up. What if we're 5-7? And assuming it's similar to last year, do you think that's it?
If we're 5-7 and we beat Maine, Charlotte, Georgia State, Coastal, and Monroe, that ain't doing it.
Yeah. It's hard to argue.
If you lose to JMU at home, family weekend, and you lose to Georgia Southern again, and you lose at Marshall again, and you lose to Old Dominion
at home,
at home for homecoming, you got to find a way to either win homecoming or family weekend against Old Dominion or James Madison.
Yeah.
I honestly can say, if you're 0-2, good luck getting people to show up for Georgia State and Monroe.
Wow.
If you're 0-2 against Old Dominion and James Madison, good luck.
Yeah.
Because I mean the home schedule is literally Old Dominion and James Madison, 2 teams that weren't in our conference very long ago.
Yeah.
And your only saving grace is like Charlotte's at night. Because if you get into November and there's 4 games left. It's game 8, and you're like, you need to be 4-4. You know, you can't be heading into that November 7th home game against Georgia State, which will probably be at like 2:30. Perhaps, I don't know. At like 3 and 5.
Yeah. And this I hated talking this way during Clark's last year. I hate talking about this way now, and I know you do too. I like to look at the health of the program over the course of time and kind of get a general sense. Like this whole micromanaging of having to consider, like, will people show up? Will people continue to support? And like getting into the nitty gritty game by game for the health of the program, like that sucks. So, I mean, I hope that we play. I hope we play with great effort and intensity and improve week over week. I hope we can see that this year, because it's such a drag to even like kind of kick these ideas. Not that you said anything like crazy, Charles, but man, it's kind of a bummer that a lot of this is kind of realistic, kind of speculation. Don't want it. I would much rather us go 7-5 and be like, okay, that was a step up clearly from last year. Thank goodness that, we're over the hump of, 6-6, right? That'd be at least something, I think.
And then it just sets the table for 27. It's like, are we gonna be in a situation where we're turning over 65 to 70% of the roster again, just to, hope for 5 to 7 wins again? Like, I think that's what everyone's really scared of. And then that's where these questions come from, and from these writers. So,
thanks, James.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. We can always count on you. Jason Hutchins with the running back room being as strong as it is on paper. Do you think it's a running back committee where there'll be a set starter that gets the workload? I mean, Jason, I think AJ, you'll agree. Like, what we saw last year was essentially 2 guys, right? Who carried the load. It was Davinian until he got hurt, and then Trigg kind of came on in the second half of the season, and it felt like while we're playing musical chairs with the quarterbacks. Pretty great job, honestly, on Trigg's part and the running game's part to make that like something you can do and depend on when you kind of have quarterback uncertainty.
Yeah.
You see that about JJ Cole today?
Yeah. Dude, sorting it by you.
Who was his agent? You know what I mean? Because like that was the most random bit of news of the entire day. And that's saying something anymore.
Yeah. No, it was. Yeah, I will say this too about the running back question though. I think this is such a typical like fall camp kind of like talking point. We're really deep by committee. I think that all sounds great, and it's so much more like under the microscope with quarterbacks. Like, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. People really don't take that approach with running backs. I understand why. It's a different position, but man, at the end of the day, I think head coaches, when they find that there is a difference, even if it's just marginal, between the quality of one running back or the other, that's the running back. I mean, when's the last time we had a true, like, oh, it didn't really matter who we put in there? I mean, it's I just think there's somebody's going to be a front runner, and that's going to be the guy like Dabinion was. Yeah. And hopefully, Trigg, I think I would probably say Trigg, right? Is probably number 1. And if he's got the hot hand, why would you let him up? I don't know.
David Phillips. He knows about the 2 deep.
Yeah. David obviously has the 2 deep, so I really we need him to share that with us so we can research it.
It'll be interesting to find out, and we may not know until week 2. I would like to think we don't know until week 2, right?
I just want like a fun, like, because I just found out that there are no youth football games for me that opening weekend. So like I have a bright, like I'm like, oh great, I'm there's no barrier for me enjoying the game on
Yeah.
September 5th. Great. I'm happy about that. I don't want another Lindenwood. Can we just beat the crap out of Maine and give revenge for what was that, 2011 and
2002
and 2002? Can we just get that? Can we just kick their butts and go home? Like I want that so bad. I want an easy Saturday. So hopefully, yeah, we'll have a good showing because I'm excited about getting one game where I don't have to worry about youth football and college football the same day.
Brian Barber asked, "Will the sun shine on us again in football?"
And one day,
one
day. Will it be this year? I hope so.
And then Nathan Horniman rounds it out with a comment of, "This has been the most quiet offseason and least anticipated start of the season in recent memory for App football. Is this a disdain for NIL, disappointment with the current coaching staff, or a combination of things?"
Why would somebody be disappointed in the coaching staffs? Because we're losing. Why would somebody be disappointed in the NIL stuff? Because we're losing players. This all comes down to performance. We've had 22 was a huge letdown because we couldn't have started off with more enthusiasm in that September of 22, and we freaking missed a bowl game, going 6-6. Like, what a wasted year. 23 was the opposite. Like, we caught on fire, had some crazy weird games. That was a good, fun team in 23. You got to play for a conference championship. That was a fun year. 24 was a bummer. 5 wins. 25, bummer. 5 wins. That's what it's about. And new turnover. Who are these people? Who's our staff? We don't really know them that well. Everything's new, and we're losing. And the good players on bad teams, they're leaving. That's really what it is. We don't know a lot about a team that's been bad for 2 years. That is killer.
We wouldn't be talking about all the negatives, such as uncertainty and NIL and portal and all this, if we just went out there and won football games.
Mm-hmm.
And the way you go out there and win football games is you don't complain about how you get to them.
Mm-hmm.
You just go. You get on whatever's provided to you, and you don't make it about something else. It's about 60 minutes and your preparation and all that good stuff. So that's not going to change. It shouldn't change. But the winning cures a lot of the things. We all know it. So, and we all want to see it. So,
if we go 7-5 and go to a bowl game, to go to the Cure Bowl again, we go 7-5 Cure Bowl. I'm telling you, the enthusiasm and excitement for the next year is going. Even if we lose people, which we will, to the portal, whatever. This 7-5 team bringing us back over the hump, over 500 for the first time since 23. The enthusiasm will be so much better going into the season. It'll be like, okay, all right, are we back? This feels good. We got over the hump. Let's stay there. It'll be way better. But that's I think the root of what we were talking about with, the over and under, of wins and coaching changes or whatever, which, is such a bummer of a topic, but really comes down to that. It's like, ooh, what happens to the buzz and the interest and the investment in the program if we go through another one like that? Man, that's dangerous. So hopefully that doesn't happen.
We don't want it to happen, but it'll be different if we can be able to pull something off like that.
Yeah.
And we're all rooting for it. We just are. Yeah. And it's just kind of hard to feel the way you do right now because of the last couple of years.
Yeah. I really want Malachi Singleton to be that guy, that to be the face again, someone that you can identify, that one player that's got the personality. And he's done some videos for he's done it with Aaron Banks with the basketball team. I want a good dude's got good looking kid who's engaging to be the kind of face of the program that we could pull for. Like that, I want that to happen.
We didn't have that at all.
No,
I mean,
not last year.
All right, we had it, but it wasn't from where you wanted it. Does that make sense?
Like, what do you mean? Like, from who?
Like for me, like the best player on the team was probably Colton Ferris.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying athletics didn't want him to be the face, but he was kind of busting out. Whereas you wanted it to be something else or someone else, like an offensive player. That's like the easy default, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, when they set off fireworks when you do something on the field, that's usually a position that is easy to identify and relate. Cam Peoples, right, and the Marcus Cox and any quarterback, whatever. I mean, when they put in the end zone, the camera zooms in on them, the fireworks go off, right? I mean, it's easy to see. Colton Ferris, they don't set off fireworks for, stopping, a 3rd and short.
Right.
But even though he's a great player, and I agree with you, it's, I think we're just longing for the team leader to also be one of the best players, especially on offense. So hopefully that is the case. All due respect to Colton.
You wanted Jaden Barnes, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But he had his moments. He had some high highs and low lows.
Yeah. I tell you who was, I think, cruising to be that was maybe Isaiah Cummings last year. I mean, he had he was on the show, but then he got hurt so early in the year. That might have been the guy that people would rally behind. But whatever. Last year was last year. I'm pulling for Malachi. There's very clear. I mean, I like what Coach Loggins said. That he wished he would have just named a starter and done it that way last year. But he's the guy. So number three in your program, number 1 in your hearts, Malachi Singleton. So hopefully he comes out and crushes it. We'll see. Georgia boy from Kennesaw, North Cobb High School. So. Who wins the Blue Deer card, Charles?
Oh, I got out of it. It came right up. It's almost
I think there's some good ones. Jay's was good.
Like the phones was listening to us.
Jay was good. I thought Burchett's was good, and Horniman. Horniman, and I don't want to do this. I don't want to put too much science behind this. Jay and Nathan, they're not like around. They live on the coast. I still want that to disqualify a good question.
No, and those folks, if they're not making it, can certainly donate back to.
See, now I feel bad for even saying that, because if Jay Neal had a great question, see, I'm a jerk.
Yeah, I kind of like Jay Neal's, honestly.
All right, Jay Neal. Yeah, there you go, Jay.
Mainly because he was picking on us.
Yeah, he was. We'll have to prognosticate, what he really was trying to say. But Jay wins. And Jay, if you're still out there in, was it Rocky Mountain? I think Jay lives.
He's on a boat somewhere.
He's on a boat somewhere. That's right. But yeah, there you go. Thanks everybody for contributing to the hashtag BGP Mail Satchel. Now that fall camp is over, classes have begun. Hoping to get a player on here as a special guest for next week. We'll try to work with schedules and whatnot, but the season quickly approaches. Charles, anything else before we wrap up?
No, I think I'm good.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode, and thanks to our sponsor, Boonshine. And until next week, go Apps.